Cooke, and we're going to be talking about movies based on Saturday Night Live sketches. It's kind of a offbeat topic, but one that a lot of similar people in our field haven't really covered that much, I notice. And Saturday Night Live just kicked off its new season, and so figured, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they just kicked off their 51st season just this past weekend. So figured perfect timing.
And there's no real major industry news, fortunately, no major deaths to speak of this week. So why don't we just hop right into the box office report for the week?
Sure. So it's a weird time at the box office. The number one movie of the week was Taylor Swift's official release party for her new album, which brought in $34 million and 50 million worldwide, which I mean, obviously she just has a license to print money now. She could, blow her nose into her armpit and it would be, it would make her $20 million. I don't know. It's getting ridiculous. But but I think it also shows you what theaters are doing now to try to expand as people aren't going to theaters as much to see movies. They're trying to figure out ways to still get people into their movie theaters. So, you've
Hmm.
seen live operas being put in movie theaters and different concerts and things like that. And so this is just another example that their movie theater chains are having to diversify what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a very good point because I think, well, I know that I've seen more concert movies over the past couple months than I have actual like in theater releases. Like I've talked about, like I saw Roger Waters' solo performance, David Gilmour's solo performance, and it's a good like communal experience that you kind of
Yep.
miss in theaters these days if you're not going to like deep day and the day of a Marvel premiere or something like that. And even that's been watered down lately. So yeah, it's nice. It's a good pivot, but doesn't speak well for the cinema
No, no,
industry.
it certainly isn't. It's just a band-aid. It's not going to fix the industry, certainly. But also, you think about the consumer, and again, it's not the same, but with ticket prices for concerts these days getting just out
Hmm.
of control, instead you can go spend 20, $25 and see it in the theater. That's much better in a way, or much more manageable for most families. Let's put it
Sure.
that
Yeah.
way. Anyway, this in second place this week was an actual movie, One Battle After Another, which came in first last week. It made another 11 million, so it's now up to 112 million worldwide. So not bad, still not close to its budget, but it's doing okay. In third place, the only new release movie, which was The Smashing Machine, which I talked about briefly that I'd seen at TIFF. It made 6 million on the weekend, 7.5 million worldwide, which, it's an A24 movie, it's a smaller movie, but it's still at a $40 million budget. So it's probably going to need to, pick up the pace a little bit. Maybe if it ends up getting any Oscar nominations, maybe that'll boost its sales a little bit. Um, in fourth place, the movie last week that I'd never fucking heard of before, this Gabby's Dollhouse thing, made another 5.3 million. It's now up to 35 million worldwide. So good for them. They're doing better than me. And fifth place, The Conjuring just keeps raking in money. The Conjuring last rites, another 4.1 million. It's now up over 460 million worldwide, which is just kind of crazy money.
Yeah, it's bonkers. But just a quick note on the Smashing Machine. It's the by far the lowest opening of The Rock's career,
Yeah.
and it's hard to believe that like Doom did better than the Smashing Machine. As you said, it's definitely Oscar bait, and like
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but from all accounts, including yours, that's a really good movie. So I think if it picks up some award steam, then yeah, people will get it on streaming and probably if it gets another re-release in theaters before January, it might pick up steam. But yeah, it's not going to attract the Rock's audience.
No, not at all, not at all. And it's Benny Safdie. It's his film, and their films are never like the Safdie brothers. They don't really make audience-friendly films. Like you kind of got to sit and think about them, and it's just not the kind of film they make. So
Yeah.
it's not made for that audience.
So coming this week, we have four wide releases. First up is Tron Ares, the latest in the Tron Disney franchise, obviously, where Jared Leto is playing an AI. What do you call it? It's not an
Soldier,
AI
I
person.
guess, or
Well, yeah, it's like
something.
not an AI. Okay, so an AI entity that's trying to break
Oh,
out into the
okay.
real world.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see how that does. Jared Leto's career has been spiraling downward for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, and Tron, I mean, they make another one of these every 20 years, I guess, whenever they feel, oh, wait, the technology might be relevant again. So we'll see. I don't know.
Then we have Roofman, where Channing Tatum plays an escaped convict that lives on the roof of a Toys R Us. Does anybody remember? Well, I'm sure our audience remembers what Toys R Us is, but I'm sure a lot of the up and comers don't remember what that is. Uh, Kiss of the Spider Woman, but played has Latino and Latina stalwarts Jennifer Lopez and Diego Luna. Soul on Fire is the last one for this week, and it's a Sean McNamara drama. So, yeah, SNL movies.
Yes.
Live from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Toronto, Ontario, it's Saturday Night, starring Zach Miller, Martin Cook, A Hole in the Wall where the men can see it all, and back for the 97th season, Bobby Moynihan. Not be appearing tonight. So what's SNL?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure everybody by now knows what SNL is. And this past year, it got a lot of publicity because it was their 50th anniversary. So just a very brief introduction to SNL and then how they started getting into movies. Um, it basically came about because Johnny Carson wanted some extra time off. Because basically the way it worked is they'd show Johnny Carson's reruns on the weekends. And Carson was like, well, no, but I want to take some time off during the week too. So how about you show my reruns during the week and then put something else on the weekend? And so that forced Dick Ebersol, who later went on to produce tons of great sports stuff, to approach Lorne Michaels to create a show. And the rest is kind of history. It first aired on October 11th, 1975. So while it is the 51st season, we're very much coming up. Depending on when you watch this or listen to this, it might be on the day of the actual 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. So again, felt like a very good time to talk about this, but we're not going to go into all the skits and everything in all 50 seasons. So instead, because we do like to talk about movies on the show, we decided to focus on the 11 movies that have come from SNL skits. And to varying degrees of success, as you'll see, 11 movies, two of those being sequels.
And quality, success and
Yes,
quality.
absolutely.
Not necessarily mutually exclusive.
No.
So yeah, so let's start off with the very first one, which is 1980's The Blues Brothers. Stars John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, and directed by John Landis. Man, this was a whole thing, and you're gonna unpack this a little bit more, but I just wanted to give this an overview. But yeah, just great music. Probably the most cohesive plot of many of these movies, if not the most, and just one of the most complete films as well. And the geniuses behind this and all the drama behind the scenes was really compelling. And we're gonna spend the most time on Bruise Brothers
Absolutely.
out of these 11 movies, just because it was the first and everything that went into it to create feature film out of a skit, when a lot of these guys didn't know what the hell they were doing as far as making feature films because they were just in improv comedy and used to doing 2 3 minute sketches. It's amazing that they came out with the product that they did. Well, one thing that one little factoid that I found out during research that I wanted to point out before you stole it from me is that composer Howard Shore
I
actually
had that in my notes. Yeah.
composer Howard Shore actually came up with the name Blues Brothers, but Howard Shore didn't score this movie. So I don't know
Mm.
if you have any other in-depth insights into that factoid, but if you go back and listen to our great film composers podcast from God knows how long. I think it was one of our first ones on YouTube.
Yeah,
But
March or something maybe. Yeah, or May.
yeah, but yeah, we both love Howard Shore. He's a Toronto native, and I just thought that was really wild how he just kind of inserted himself into that situation. And there's so take it
Yeah,
away.
composer of films like Lord of the Rings, Silence of the Lambs, Departed, like whole bunch of Scorsese things. Yeah, just an amazing composer. And actually, the Blues Brothers kind of came out of a skit um, where Belushi and Aykroyd were dressed in bee costumes to play the song "I'm a King Bee," and it was billed as being by Howard Shore and his all bee band, which
Oh,
is
okay.
very odd. But it's a blues song, and Aykroyd was actually a huge blues fan, and then he got Belushi into it, into the music. And it's sort of from out of that they developed the Blues Brothers. And yeah, and so Howard Shore was obviously still kicking around. Although, yeah, I'm not quite sure why he didn't have much involvement in the actual film. Um, but anyway, that like that skit was became really popular. That after a while they started doing just live performances outside of
Hmm.
SNL. So they were, and they actually even released somewhat of a hit album in 1978 called "Briefcase Full of Blues." So, one of the key things is that the band, the Blues Brothers band, was actually formed with really good musicians, like
Yeah,
really good blues
yeah.
musicians, like guys like Steve Cropper, who, was the guitarist in Booker T and the MGs. He played with Otis Redding and Wilson Pickett and guys like that. If you know the song Soul Man by Sam and Dave, that guitar riff at the beginning, that's Steve Cropper. And their band also had Matt Guitar Murphy, who played with guys like Memphis Slim and Howlin' Wolf. So these guys were just really grounded in the actual like
Yeah.
music of the blues. This wasn't a spoof, like it wasn't making fun of the blues.
Oh no,
But it was
it
really an
was an
homage, which
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
for
is
sure.
part of the reason why this ended up being so successful. Right. Um, in terms of the film itself, like Belushi and Landis in 78, they had had success, quite a bit of success actually with Animal House. And I think it's basically that got Belushi and Aykroyd to think, hey, maybe we could do a movie. And so then Lauren Michaels, once they got him on board with the idea, he brought on John Landis because he's like, yeah, these guys are sketch, as you said, these are sketch comedy guys. They don't know what the fuck they're doing about movies, but at least Landis has directed a movie before, and he's directed Belushi, and so he knows how to handle him. So they brought in Landis. But Aykroyd's first attempt at a script was apparently 324 pages long, which, for anybody who doesn't know, standard movie scripts are, let's say, between 100 and 120 pages. So let's just say that was
Yeah,
3 times longer than any
yeah,
kind of script should possibly be.
yeah. It's supposed to be a page per minute, and
Yeah,
so most movies run between 90 and 120 minutes. So most scripts are supposed to be not between 90 and 120 pages, and
yeah.
and Aykroyd had no idea how to write a script, so
No.
he didn't even really write a script. It was just kind of like free form, like a short story slash novel slash kind of like a Jack Kerouac stream of consciousness kind of thing. So yeah, it was all out of whack. And yeah, as you said, it was this fat like stack of paper that was read like a novel. And so yeah, Landis had to come in and took 2 weeks to kind of just get through and take this just chaos that Aykroyd had created and whittle it down to an actual
Yeah.
cohesive shooting script. So, yeah.
Apparently, as a joke, when now this is a joke that a lot of people won't understand, depending on your age. But when Aykroyd submitted it first to the producers, for the cover pages, he put the cover of the yellow pages because it was that thick. For anybody who isn't aware, who's under say 30 years old, he used to get these things called phone books, and the yellow pages were always all the businesses. They were always really fucking thick. Uh, anyway, um, yeah, I mean the thing. There's a few things about this movie that are amazing, but I already talked about the musicians in the Blues Brothers band itself. But for the movie, Aykroyd wanted it even more, and he insisted on like filling it with tons of really big, important musicians because he kind of wanted to give them their props. Um, that kind of caused some friction with studios because, of course, that ended up costing them a lot more. But just like, okay, some of the names in this movie, James Brown, Cab Calloway, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, they all had speaking roles. And then tons of other just musicians, like people who know the blues will know these guys really well. Others people weren't, but that was part of the point, was to give these guys kind of a bit of a platform. So guys like Big Walter Horton, Pine Top Perkins, Willie Big Eye Smith, and John Lee Hooker. Obviously, he was a bit better known. Um, and then just all these like crazy fun cameos from people throughout this movie, like Twiggy, Frank Oz, Shaka
Yeah.
Khan,
Yeah.
John Landis himself had a little cameo. John Candy, Carrie Fisher in a like a hilarious role in this, and even Steven Spielberg had a little
Oh yeah,
cameo
yeah,
in
yeah.
this. Like it's so crazy. Um, I'll just make two other brief notes. This movie set a record for the most number of cars wrecked in a single film, with 104 cars, 60 of them being police cars that they had bought really cheap from the Chicago Police Department. Like 104. Anybody who hasn't seen this film, you see it on the screen. There are a lot of cars getting wrecked. It is one of the best chase scenes of all time and most hilarious, with the
Yeah.
cops and the Blues Brothers and these Nazis. And it's too funny.
Yeah, it definitely does spiral out into just absolute wackiness, but I think
Yeah.
that's what you expect from the guys that made it, and it definitely holds up. And I will admit that I had not seen this all the way through until about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so, obviously, this came out in 1980. I was born in 88, so before my time. But the first movie that I saw was Blues Brothers 2000, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
I was discouraged into believing that the first one was similar. And
Right. Right.
the first one is obviously absolutely superior. So I
Yeah.
just got around to seeing it, and my appreciation for music, especially the blues, was very cultivated by this point when I saw it. So I really appreciate it, and especially coming out in 1980 when disco was just dying, and but
Yeah. Yeah.
it was still like all electronica, and you had these guys that had appreciation for actual like really good guitar music. And
Yeah.
so yeah, just all around definitely holds up, and even if without the SNL tag, just a really good movie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was born, but I was definitely far too young to have seen this when it first came out. But so I think I probably actually was aware of the soundtrack before I
Mm.
was the movie, and kind of knew the soundtrack. And then, back when watched the movie when it would have come out on VHS or something a little later. But ever since the first moment I watched the movie, I absolutely loved it. And of course, I mean, you alluded to some of this, but the stories from this set, we don't have time to go into all of them, but a bunch of actors and musicians at that time, like cocaine was prominent. Belushi was Belushi. He was just crazy. Just one very brief story that I found that Aykroyd related one time. One time they couldn't find Belushi on set anywhere. Um, and Aykroyd noticed a little path through from where they were filming to the nearest neighborhood. So he walked down the path, noticed that there was one house that had its lights on, knocked on the door to ask if the owner had seen Belushi. And the guy was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. He was really hungry. And so he came and raided my fridge, and now he's passed out on my couch." Just like in this random neighborhood. So just like shit like that was happening on this set all the time. And so just to wrap it up, this film was a huge success. It started number two at the box office, and that's only because number one was Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it made 115 million worldwide on an estimated $27 million budget, which leads to the question: why did it take SNL 12 years to make another SNL movie?
Yep. Okay, well, okay, this is a first. We have actual breaking news here.
Oh,
Uh the official trailer for Game of Thrones Night of Seven Kingdoms just literally dropped on YouTube. So
Oh,
we'll have to
wow.
check that out. I'm sure we will review that and bring you some updates next week because we're definitely going to be covering that series.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
that's a first. I just got a YouTube
That's
update.
very good breaking news. I like that. Yeah, we'll definitely have to react to that next week.
Okay, so that brings us to 12 years later. And
Yes. So, yeah, that little segue, 12 years, and that was Wayne's World. So, this is obviously by this point, SNL, as a lot of people know, they go through different kind of iterations of their cast. By this point, it's a whole new group of characters, a whole different people. And this was from a skit with Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. And although this is definitely an SNL movie, the character of Wayne was actually created by Myers on a CBC show called
oh
It's
yeah,
Only
yeah.
Rock and Roll before he joined the cast of SNL. And then once he joined the cast, then he sort of brought the idea to Dana Carvey and they tweaked it a little bit. So it became one of the most popular running skits. And so Mike Myers and Lauren Michaels had the idea to, okay, let's make a movie. Michaels hired Penelope Spheris to direct, and she had experience directing music documentaries, but hadn't really had much film success. And I think that's interesting because, like the Blues Brothers, the soundtrack for this movie was really important and was actually a huge hit on its own. Like it was the number one album for a few weeks or something. And of course, one of the most iconic scenes in the entire movie, the scene when they're driving in the car listening to Bohemian Rhapsody. Lauren Michaels actually wanted something a bit more current. Like he wanted like a Guns N' Roses, well, then current. He wanted a Guns N' Roses song or something for that. But Myers insisted like absolutely like he was going to walk off set if they didn't include Bohemian Rhapsody. That eventually Lauren Michaels gave in. Um, and Brian May of Queen has said, this may be apocryphal or not, or maybe Brian May, who knows if this is actually true. But Freddie Mercury died just before the film was released. But Brian May has said that Mercury actually saw dailies of this scene and thought it was fucking hilarious and absolutely approved of them using Bohemian Rhapsody. Um, so in addition to Myers and Carvey, this had a great cast: Rob Lowe, Tia Carrera, Lara Flynn Boyle, Donna Dixon, Chris Farley, Meatloaf was in this. Robert Patrick in this funny like Terminator
Oh
cameo.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alice Cooper, of course, and Ed O'Neill of of Modern Family and Married with Children fame in
And
this
Little
really
Giants.
so yes, that's right. In this really funny and Coach, I think it was he on Coach? Anyway, maybe not. Some random show before. Anyway, he had this really funny role as well. And this one, like Blues Brothers, was another big hit. Actually, this is the biggest hit of all the SNL skit movies. It was a top 10 movie that year, made 183 million on a $20 million budget. It was also a massive like cultural phenomenon. This is one that I got to rewatch this week, and it's hard to believe all the sayings that came out of this movie. Like for or the skit, like the we're not worthy stuff and swing and
Swing,
the
yeah.
and not. And I had actually forgotten until they said it in the movie that that's what she said came from Wayne's World
Mm,
originally. I'd totally forgotten that. Um, and a
yeah.
few of those things on rewatch seem a bit cringe these days. Um, but I don't know if you got a chance to rewatch this one, but I actually found that a lot of it was still pretty funny.
Mm.
Like even just a lot of the random throwaway lines. Like there's one where they go to a club and they're like, "Oh, who's playing? Oh, band called this, band called this, band called the Shitty Beatles. Oh, how are they? Man, they suck." I don't know, just random stupid lines like that. I just found so funny. So this one actually for me kind of held up, despite some of the more popular stuff being kind of cringe these days.
Yeah, yeah. Steve Carell, I think, owes half of his career to That's What She Said.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
coming out of the
exactly.
office.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's kind of a weird one because I was too young to see it originally. At this point, still 1992. I was only 4, and then by the time I got around to seeing it, Austin Powers had already come out, and
Okay.
I was like a much bigger fan of Austin Powers, and I thought Wayne's World was kind of regressive. And I mean, obviously, my little kid mind isn't saying words like, "Yes, this is a little regressive," but yeah, so I kind of got Mike Myers fatigue after that, so
Fair enough.
I never really connected with this movie. I've always thought the no playing Stairway to Heaven gig in the guitar store is always my favorite, because I did spend a lot of my teen years in guitar stores, and anytime somebody played the first
Yeah.
couple the first couple notes of Stairway to Heaven,
That's the
everybody was
sign.
like, "Shut the fuck up!" So,
No
yeah,
stairway. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's obviously a cultural phenomenon, and you can't listen to Bohemian Rhapsody without thinking of that scene.
Yeah.
And anytime more than 3 or 4 people get together and the guitar, the main guitar riff starts kicking, everybody just starts doing the
Yeah.
headbang. It's ubiquitous. So
Yeah.
definitely no knock on this movie whatsoever. It just wasn't in my, I guess, just wasn't really in my universe, I guess. And but the amount of control that Mike Myers had was really admirable. Like, this
Yeah.
was obviously his baby from, from Canadian television, brought it to SNL, and he never allowed it to be wrested from him. And like you said, he was just willing to walk off set entirely. And obviously, this movie wouldn't be anything without him. And the especially since, Lorne Michaels is one of those old school media guys that's such a
Yeah.
megalomaniac and just has to have
He
complete
does not
control.
like giving up control. That is true.
So the fact that Mike Myers, who's still very young at the time and established, but not like, he doesn't have fuck you money at that point.
No, no.
So he believed in his vision, and he saw it through. So that's extremely admirable.
Yeah.
So then it's not a 12-year gap anymore. These come hot and heavy in the
Yeah. Really Fast
90s.
and Furious in the 90s.
Yeah. So
Most of these are 90s movies. Yeah.
yeah. So then we have Coneheads, and based on a skit by Dan Aykroyd. He's the star, and it's basically just awkward aliens that have cone heads. Uh, it's also starred Jane Curtin and Michelle Burke, and it's it's kind of like the spiritual predecessor to Third Rock from the Sun, where it's just aliens trying
Mhm.
to integrate themselves into human society, and their goal is like ostensibly research, and the plot is kind of secondary. It's not a very good movie. It doesn't really hold up. It only made 21 million on a $30 million budget, and when you have, Dan Aykroyd in his at the height of his powers in '92, and he can't even open a movie like that, it's not a very good premise.
Yeah, I mean, height of his powers, but I think part of the problem was that this was an old skit even by that point. Like, this was a sketch from their early days, from like the 70s or 80s. And so I don't think anybody when this came out, like I certainly didn't know what the fuck the cone heads were. Um, and so they did put in a bunch of the then 90s cast into this in like smaller roles, like David Spades and there's some Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and Phil Hartman and Kevin Nealon, all those people. But I don't know. This one, as you say, I mean, it didn't connect with the audience, it didn't really work. I kind of wonder, there's a whole bit in there about like them kind of hiding from INS and immigration and all that kind of stuff. I wonder, I didn't rewatch this, but I wonder if like the themes might be more relevant or interesting today and maybe it would have a second life. I don't know. I can't imagine so because I just don't think it was very funny.
Yeah, Ice coming after the Coneheads might be a really good revival topic for that entire plot.
Exactly. All right. So as you say, Fast and Furious. That same year, we've got Wayne's World 2. So, obviously they rushed this in. Different director though. There were some clashes, although later they said they were overblown between Myers and the director. So again, as you said, Myers had all the control. Basically, he brought in a different director. Um, And the plot of Wayne's World 2 is essentially that they're trying to organize a massive music festival called Waynestock. Um, and it had a lot of the same people as the first movie. Tia Carrere's in there again. But it also had like smaller roles in it and for people like Christopher Walken and Kevin Pollak and Kim Basinger and Drew Barrymore and Charlton Heston even with a small bit and Heather Locklear. So it didn't do nearly as well as the first film. Like depending on the numbers, you see different numbers. It grossed somewhere between like 50 and 70 million on a $40 million budget. I tend to actually believe the latter of those
Mm.
two, the higher number, just based upon my reading of the numbers. Um, so it probably made some money, especially when you consider that 93, this is about the time that video sales and rentals are starting to take off. And I think Wayne's World 2 did relatively well there. Um, but it by no means was this a big success. And this basically killed off Wayne's World as a thing, and certainly didn't have anywhere near the cultural relevance of the first one.
Yeah, and uh, the box office wasn't really the fault of the creators per se, because it was up against holiday blockbusters galore, and that's including Mrs. Doubtfire, which was obviously competing with the comedy
Yeah.
sphere, and then but also they were up against Schindler's List and The Pelican Brief.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they just rushed it out. Like choosing a December release was probably stupid. They should have probably waited until the next year and done a summer release, and maybe it would have done better. But they were trying to cash in on that sweet money from the year before. So who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, and this was I'm not completely sure. I'm just speculating, but I think this is before the like really strategic release schedule started to happen,
Yeah, yeah,
where like this is going to be, I mean, even though summer blockbusters have been around since Jaws in 75, but like really targeted and like coordinating with other studios to see when they're releasing their movies
yeah,
so that they can stagger everything to make sure to maximize profit for everybody. So I think that I don't think that was a thing yet, but yeah, anyway, Wayne's World 2 kind of the same thing for me. Was Wayne's World 2 the one where oh yeah, you said yeah, where Dana Carvey had the romance with Basinger.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
that yeah, that was my favorite part of this movie. I didn't get a chance to rewatch either of these, but yeah, I thought that was really funny with like just Dana Carvey being obviously the like almost okay, like totally mentally challenged virgin, I guess. Like
Well, yeah, just very socially awkward and shy, or
yeah,
maybe put it that way. Yeah.
yeah, okay, sure.
Because actually, in the first one, he's very smart. He's doing like all these scientific things. He's got all these experiments, and he's redirecting satellites and stuff. So it's hard to know what his character was supposed to
But
be.
those are both classic signs of autism. So
I suppose, yeah,
the savant that's socially awkward. So
yeah,
anyway, that leads us to it's Pat. Mm.
yeah,
Okay, 1994. probably probably the less said about this movie and the premise, the skit that pre prefaced it was probably, yeah, probably less said the better. Anyway, it was a very 90s take on somebody who may or may not be a woman or man.
yeah,
The the trans community would absolutely slaughter this movie in its crib if it was even floated around Hollywood today. I mean, that's the entire premise. Is just is Pat a man or a woman, and
yeah,
everybody around Pat is just kind of skating around the issue and kind of needling and prodding to see what the gender of this person
yeah.
is.
And that's the joke,
Yeah.
which is, some of these skits play better as movies. This it was very much one note from the beginning, and not a very good note,
Yeah.
and off key note. And yeah, this did not do well. This was by far the biggest flop of all the SNL movies. Like this was so bad. I don't know if you had this in the notes.
Mm-hmm.
but it got pulled from theaters after its opening weekend
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
it only made 60 million, sorry,
Yeah, it
$60,000.
only made 60 million.
Yeah, no, sorry.
No, yeah, it only released in 33 theaters nationwide, which is crazy for I mean, admittedly in the 90s that particular skit series was a huge hit for SNL
I
just
think so.
because
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have
no,
turned it into a movie if it wasn't popular. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely was. So yeah, it cost $8 million too, and it only made $60,000. I don't know where that money went.
Yeah. Yikes. All for Julius Sweeney's makeup or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So let's dig out the shovel, bury that one, and
yeah.
get onto a drink break, shall
Yes, let's
we?
do it.
Let's cleanse ourselves of it. It's Pat.
It's
All right, so we are doing a Manhattan this week, which is a bit of a more involved drink than we typically do. It has several ingredients. It has a rye whiskey, sweet vermouth, which is very important. Regular vermouth would just totally fuck this drink up. Bitters, and my immortal jar of maraschino cherries that just will
Yes,
not
yes.
die.
It must be said that Zach did choose this, and I'm sure he chose it only so he could get rid of some more maraschino cherries. I actually did not go out and buy a bottle of maraschino cherries just for this. So mine is gonna have to make do without the cherries.
Okay, so we're gonna do
I've got my
how,
standard CZ that I'm is my rye.
I have one that I haven't had before. It's straight from Manassas, Virginia. It's bare knuckle rye. Got a little
I love
1800.
that bottle. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So we're gonna do one ounce of that.
Oh, okay. I have a different recipe then. My recipe calls for 2 ounces of the whiskey and 1 ounce of the vermouth.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing.
All right. And traditionally it's served in a martini glass.
Or a glass like this.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, no, you got it, Martin. Yep.
I can't remember what the name of that glass is.
Okay, so are you shaking yours up?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, as
Just
Martin's
gonna put the bitters in now. So the nice Angostura bitters that if anyone doesn't know what those
yeah,
are, whenever you're in a liquor store, it's the ones with the oversized label. That happened because that was a printing mistake way back when they first started making it. And then they just thought, you know what? That's going to be our trademark now. And so they just kept making these oversized labels for the Angostura bitters.
I always wonder why that was the case. So thank you for that piece of trivia. Then I have a Tribuno. Yeah, Tribuno sweet vermouth. And yeah, Angostura is the way to go with bitters, and that takes 3 dashes of that. Okay, throw that vermouth in there.
So there we go. Yeah. And now
And
shaking up a little bit.
obviously, it's a we're choosing Manhattan tonight because SNL has and always has been based in 30 Rock in Manhattan.
Exactly. Live from New York, as you said. All right. So that looks very much like a Manhattan without the cherry. Let me know when you're ready to taste,
All right.
and I will clear my desk. And every time we have a drink that's a bit more involved, my desk always gets a little sticky as I'm trying to mix the drinks. But
I
I think
always throw a
I think I did a better job tonight. I need to make sure I bring up a damp cloth though next time.
yep, I always do that.
Yeah, you're much
All
more
right,
more
so
prepared than I am.
yep.
All right, here we go. A Manhattan to New York and SNL.
Mm. Oh hell yeah, that's the ticket right there.
That's not bad, actually. That's pretty good. I think I've tried sweet vermouth and other things, and I didn't really like the sweet vermouth. But when you get the mix right with the whiskey and the bitters, yeah, that's a decent drink.
Well, yeah, and I know you're missing the cherry, but
Yeah.
the syrup from the cherry actually takes a little of the edge off as well. So
Okay. Yeah. 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 That would have been.
sweetens it up just a little bit without making it too sweet. So it's like it's a perfect balance.
Yeah. Maybe I could have put a drop or two of simple syrup or something in there if you don't
Yeah,
happen to have a cherry.
or grenadine or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That. Yeah. Actually, grenadine would, yeah, very much be similar. All right, so let's get back to SNL movies. We are still in the 90s and we're in 1995. And the hits could just keep coming after Pat. Nothing as bad as Pat, but 1995, we have Stuart Saves His Family. This, I think I can confidently say, is the only one of these movies that stars a future U.S. senator. Um, so this stars Al Franken, and it was based on a skit, Daily Affirmations by Stuart Smalley, which was again a pretty popular skit in 1995. It even spawned a book, and I actually remember one of these skits that had Michael Jordan on it. That was actually really funny because it's all about, oh, you must be down on yourself. You missed a shot.
Oh,
You must not think you're very good or whatever. And it's all about this guy trying to build up people's self-esteem. And it was really funny because of course it's Michael Jordan who never had self-esteem issues. So that, yeah, so actually found, this one of those skits actually pretty funny. The movie though, uh, kind of like Wayne's World. It's basically about somebody trying to save their public access television show. Um, and so it's Stuart Smalley running around and trying to do that. So as I said, it starred Al Franken, future U.S. Senator, Laura San Giacomo, Vincent D'Onofrio, and then a few SNL people of the time, like Julia Sweeties from It's Pat. But this was also a huge flop. It only made $912,000 on again, numbers differ here, but sort of $6 to $12 million budget, somewhere in there. So really, really did not do well.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and God darn
Uh,
it, people like me. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, another absolute classic skit. Just did not work out, and
yeah.
honestly, I didn't know this movie even existed until a few hours ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
I'd heard of it. This is one of the ones though actually that I never saw. This and It's Pat. I never did see It's Wild. Apparently nobody's seen It's Pat. But I think out of all of them, this is the only those are the only two that I never did see.
yeah, I did see It's Pat.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Okay.
yeah, and I was like 6 or 7, so just the running joke just landed every time because it was like, I don't know if that's a guy or a girl. Yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend
Yes.
showing it to.
Repetitive humor can work on 6-year-olds.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody today showing it to their 6-year-old, especially given the current climate. It could get them into trouble, but so, but yeah, different time, different time. So, but yeah, never heard of Stuart Saves His Family. Have no desire to see it, and apparently no one else did either. So then we have the sequel to Blues Brothers 2000, which actually didn't come out in 2000.
No. Everything
Much
around then was 2000. The millennium
exactly,
was a big
yeah,
deal.
one of my favorite running South Park gags is when the 2000 came around. They named every single episode something 2000, even though it was completely irrelevant. But
Right.
they played into the fact that everything was this 2000. Yeah, it's just so overplayed, and Blues Brothers fell into that category. It came out in 1998, 2 years before Y2K. John Landis came back to direct. Dan Aykroyd was back, but and it started John Goodman, but the absence of John Belushi was it can't be measured, it can't be overstated, and
Yeah.
obviously that was because of his untimely death from a drug overdose. And this kind of seemed at even at the time as like a hollow cash grab,
Mm.
and it had cameos by musicians, but it wasn't of the same caliber as Blues Brothers. Like everything was trying to recapture that magic of the original Blues Brothers, but everything just fell short.
Yeah, like this, I actually didn't mind this movie, although I was let down because I was such a huge fan of the Blues Brothers when this came out. Uh, but they just tried to go bigger for this. So more music, more cameos, more cars crashing. Like they actually broke their record from the first movie in terms of car crashes in this one. They just tried to go so much bigger on everything, but they were lacking in two main things. One was the story. Just was not as interesting or good as the first one. They're trying to save an orphanage that they grew up in the first movie. Like, what could be better than that? And then the other big problem that you already alluded to is John Belushi. Um, Interestingly enough, like Jim Belushi had been playing with the John's brother had been playing with the band, and sometimes John Goodman had as well. But for some reason, only Goodman ended up being part of the movie and not Jim Belushi. I mean, obviously Jim Belushi is not John Belushi, but I wonder if that might have helped a little bit. Um, but the music, again, the reason why I don't mind this movie, despite the fact that as a movie it's not nearly as good, is that the music and the cameos and stuff again are amazing. Like some of them were brought back. James Brown, Aretha Franklin were back, but just like all these other people that you had in there, like Bo Diddley and Jimmy Vaughn and Billy Preston, BB King, right? Like Eric Clapton, like all these people, they just piled all these people into the movie. Um, and so for that, if you're at all a blues fan like I am, that much makes it enjoyable, at least, even though as a movie, it's not nearly as good as the first one.
Yeah, it was they made $32 million on a $30 million budget, so that doesn't count as a success
No.
because it doesn't take into account marketing and all that behind the scenes stuff that we
Yeah.
don't need to go into right now, obviously. But yeah, again, it is a tribute to the blues, and can't knock it for that because even in '98, while music had gotten better by that point since the early '80s in a lot of ways, uh, still just and credit to them for platforming all the old stars you just mentioned
Yeah.
and keeping that spirit alive. But
And
again,
there
just
had been a bit of a revival for blues in the
yeah.
90s, particularly, sort of following the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan. And people like Eric Clapton obviously was making up, he had that Unplugged album where he was mostly playing blues and a few other things that really hit. And so people were tuning into the blues a bit more. And so maybe that's also why they saw their chance to make this movie. But yeah, you're right. It didn't have the heart of the original at all.
Yeah.
That takes us still in 1998. We've got a totally different kind of music dominating this one, the soundtrack for this movie. This is A Night at the Roxbury. So this was obviously again talking about the as SNL goes through its different generations of casts, we're onto a whole new generation again. So this
Mhm.
starred Will Ferrell, Chris Kattan, Molly Shannon, Colin Quinn's in this. Um, and this is basically about these two brothers who like nothing better than to go out club hopping, but they're really socially inept and awkward and are just basically these yeah, kind of fools. Some songs will, yeah, probably never be heard without thinking of doing that. Um, this was one that I actually did again get to like Wayne's World. I went back and watched this one again this week. Um, and while some parts of it were enjoyable, a lot of the humor just did not land for me in this one. Like I was just sitting there kind of stone faced through much of
Mm,
this movie. Unfortunately, it was kind of dumb.
yeah.
Having said that, though, it wasn't a huge success, but it wasn't a flop. Like it made about 30 million on a $17 million budget. So enough, especially at that time when you count in video sales and stuff, enough for them to make a little bit of money on it. Um, but certainly nothing that anybody was going to be really excited about at SNL or Lord Michael's offices.
Yeah. Uh, okay, so this one holds a special place in my heart. Okay, so first, just just chart wise, "What Is Love,"
Baby, don't hurt me.
the main song shot up to like number 5, I think, on the Billboard Hot 100, even though it was like a 20-year-old song at that point. And I and so my friends and I were obsessed with this movie.
Okay.
We were 10, 11 years old around there. Yeah, we were doing the head thing. We would play "What Is Love" on every chance we get, every time we get our hands on the stereo.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah. And this is like the movie that this is like the trampoline that Will Ferrell used to catapult himself into superstardom.
Yeah.
This is really his.
Yeah, interesting. One thing I noted when I went back and rewatched this, Chris Kattan is actually first billed in this
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
above Will
exactly.
Ferrell, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think of now.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Chris Kattan was the main face of this movie, but yeah, Will Ferrell took this and launched himself into the stratosphere. Not right away, but he started to be in like every comedy or like every other comedy that came out for like the next 10 years
Yeah.
to more and more success and quality as his career just ascended. Like this is pre Anchorman, pre old
Old
school.
school. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and also within SNL, like he just started becoming part of way more skits and way better skits. And then as the like I think this was actually somewhat of a transition period because it was after this that or not too long after, but shortly after this that people like Kristen Wiig came joined the cast.
Mm.
And then Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig kind of they totally took control of SNL at that point. It was those two really were the two stars after this point.
Yeah, but again, came out when I was about 10 or 11. Perfect humor for 10, 11 year
Right.
olds.
Yeah.
If you're watching this for the first time, I just, I wouldn't recommend it because it occupies a certain time and space. And if you don't have that kind of nostalgia feel for it, then it's not really worth watching because it is just too, like, just idiots in, what do you call them? Zoot suits. just, just cruising Sunset Boulevard at a time where they think they're living in the 70s, but it's the 90s, and yeah, just the plot doesn't really matter because it's just that extended skit from their personalities, and yeah, not much else to say about. Jennifer Coolidge makes a fun cameo as a female police officer.
I was just going to say that, yeah, a year before her breakout in American Pie, the Jennifer Coolidge was in this.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I guess it doesn't even count as a cameo because you have to be an established somebody to.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, in retrospect, it looks like a cameo, but yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty
no,
funny.
no, exactly. Yeah, no, this was kind of her on her way up. And
Yeah.
then the other casting that I want to shout out is Lonnie Anderson, who plays their mom. And
Oh yeah.
we probably didn't mention it at the time, but we lost Lonnie Anderson back in August of this year. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah. So R.I.P. Lonnie Anderson.
So
All right.
next up we have another movie featuring Will Ferrell,
Yeah.
1999 1999's Superstar. Superstar. It's God, Mary Catherine Gallagher was one of SNL's biggest skits in the 90s, and it was played by Molly Shannon. Will Ferrell Will Ferrell plays this like jock dude that Molly Shannon is obsessed with, even though like they're ostensibly, no, not ostensibly, they're actually supposed to be high schoolers, I guess. Will Ferrell is so obviously in his either late 20s or 30s. He's
Well,
just
Molly Shannon couldn't have been very, she must have been in her 30s by then too, no? I don't know.
yeah, but I guess that should have been part of the joke is that she's the one that's the older one and Will Ferrell's.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
again.
right. You're right.
But it also had Harlan Williams, and it's just about this Catholic school girl who really wants to break out into being a theater kid, and her main thing is like she's socially awkward, and every time she gets nervous, she smells her own armpits. It's very again very thin plot. uh yeah, very critically lambasted as most of these are. It did make twice its budget, 30 million on a 14 million dollar budget. So moderate success, but again, doesn't really hold up. I remember laughing a little bit when I was saw this at 11, but
Yeah, I only saw this once, and there, yeah, I mean, Molly Shannon, the best thing you can say for it, and her just in, well, probably her comedy in general, but in this role in the skits in SNL as well, is that she just fucking went for it. Like
hmm. Oh yeah,
she was all in on this character, and that's probably the best thing that you can say for it is her commitment to the bit was absolute. Um,
that's
so
and that's the thing about all these SNL movies is all these people came up in improv troops like the Groundlings or Second City or
yeah,
one of those things, and the first thing they tell you is yes and build on what your partner is doing and commit. Whatever you're doing, don't worry about any of the outside world, just commit. And
yeah.
goddamn if all these people don't do that in these movies
Yeah, that's
for good or ill. Like
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you shouldn't be that committed, but yeah, no. Yeah,
and,
that
and and this one comes in at 81 minutes, and anytime like a
Night of the
really
Roxbury was also very short.
yeah
80 something minutes as well.
a good rule of thumb for movie goers, if there's anything under 90 minutes, it's gonna be bad.
That's true. That generally means there isn't enough story to carry whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah.
All right. And then next up we have another flop. Um, and that is 2000's The Ladies Man. And this was based on a skit starring Tim Meadows, where Tim Meadows is a self-professed ladies man, complete with afro and everything, where he tries to tell people how to get the ladies, but but is really kind of a failure, as a lot of these characters are. I don't actually have that many notes about this. Again, I've probably have not seen this movie since it first came out. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it this week. It didn't, but this one didn't do very well. It made 13.7 million on a $27 million budget. And again, as we've mentioned a million times, the stated budgets for movies, it's always a lot higher than what they say. So this one lost a fair amount of money,
Yeah.
not like a Marvel movie bombing kind of money, but decent money for these people. And which left us with another big gap until the next SNL movie. Do you have any particular thoughts on the ladies man? For me, it's just such a forgettable character, but maybe again, time of life for you. Maybe this was one that hit for you.
I I fucking love this movie.
Okay, okay, all right. I don't hate
I,
the movie. It's forgettable for me. I didn't hate it though.
because I mean Tim Meadows is just such like such a like a almost like a shock jock, not shock jock. Like it was back in the heyday of like late night radio
Yeah,
where
yeah, you're right.
people would like it'd be scheduling tune in and just like his list like uh, I'm the ladies
Ladies
man.
man.
Yeah, I thought another Will Ferrell was in this, and he plays a I would say closeted, but very thinly closeted gay guy
Yeah.
that happens to be married to Tiffany Thyssen,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Who,
yeah,
for anybody, yeah, who was basically a able-bodied man during the 90s. Yeah.
hey, even if your body wasn't able, but it had two of my biggest childhood crutches, crushes, which was Tiffany Thyssen and Karen Parsons from Fresh
Oh,
Prince.
yes, Karen Parsons,
So
right? I
yeah,
forgot she was in this. Of course she was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eugene Levy was great as the radio producer, and just great cast up and down. And God, I should have suggested some Courvoisier for our drink
Oh,
break.
yeah. Oh, wow. I forgot that.
And it's just full of great quotes, and Tim Meadows is so good at delivering these just dumbass lines while still being endearing. It's it's one of my favorites as far as these this list goes.
Fair enough.
And then last, and we have a pretty huge gap here.
Yeah.
We went 2000 for the Ladies' Man, then we have 2010, uh, and that's the last SNL movie. Haven't made one in 15 years now, and it's MacGruber. It's a kind of it stars Will Forte, Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig, and it's kind of a parody of Get Smart, even though Get Smart was a comedy as well. Or uh, the trio
It's
of
more
Will.
it's more a parody of MacGyver than anything else, though.
True, true, yeah, and
Which yeah, you're probably too young to remember MacGyver. I do remember a bit of MacGyver growing up.
and the interesting thing is I think the only movie I've ever heard of that was directed by three people, and that is the Lonely Island Troupe.
Right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting. And another flop,
Yeah.
and maybe this is why it's the last SNL movie to be made because they just never made any money off of these. It made a 9.3 million on a $10 million budget, but it has since become a cult classic, and everybody kind of goes back and watches it and like, what the hell? How did nobody watch this movie?
Yeah,
But I think
I
it
know
is
a lot of people who love this movie. Who absolutely love this movie.
And I think it was just because of the reputation that SNL movies had at that time, because
Mm,
they've been flop after flop, and everybody's like, well, it's a based on an SNL skit, and based on an SNL skit, just became a parody in itself at that point,
yeah.
where it's just like, well, I'm not gonna go see that. They're all shit.
Yeah. Well, and you noted the cast members from SNL. We should also say it also starred Ryan Felipe and Val Kilmer,
Yeah, yeah,
which is kind of crazy. I mean, Ryan Felipe just sort of a for very much of that time, or actually that was a bit beyond his time, and then Val Kilmer, just who also we lost recently,
hmm,
but kind of crazy casting. This is one that I really wanted to go back and rewatch because I haven't watched it since it first came out. And for whatever reason, I could not find it here in Canada. So whoever has the rights, uh, get on your ass and get the rights in Canada because I could not get it on Amazon Prime. I couldn't get it on Google Play. I could not find it anywhere. So I don't know what's going on. I really wanted to rewatch this one.
yeah.
Especially because since I've seen it, I know that I've heard from a lot of other people, as you say, it's become a cult classic. People who just love this movie and go back and rewatch it all the time.
Yeah, I wish I would have gone back and rewatched this too, and it is available in the States. So, but I did I know so I skipped it when it was in the theaters just because of the reasons I just stated, and
Yeah.
so I didn't watch it until about 3 or 4 years ago when I was just with one of my buddies getting high, and we were like,
It's
oh,
it's
start,
it's a good kind of movie for that, I think.
yeah. So like, oh, throw him a Gruber, and I was like, really? Can we watch like I don't know anything else. But after about 5 minutes, I was just rooted to my seat. I don't know if that was the weed or the movie, but it's probably a combination of both. But yeah, it was actually fucking hilarious and it definitely holds up. And I'm glad it resurfaced as a cult classic. Unfortunately, it's not going to recoup its budget from rentals or anything like that like they used to do back in the day.
Yeah,
But
it's not a thing anymore.
I also can't find it for free anywhere. So you have to pay Amazon, Google, or YouTube like $3.99 to rent it. So I don't know. Maybe it'll recoup that extra 2 or 3 million that it needs to get
Um,
back to even.
Maybe Will Forte can keep getting those residual checks.
Yeah, but as you said, that's the last Saturday Night Live movie, and it's been 15 years, and it's probably for the best. Honestly, I mean, if you want to start wrapping this up, like
It probably is, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that it ended with MacGruber, although maybe it being an underground hit is kind of the best thing because that's how SNL started, was kind of like an underground hit. Um, but it is kind of disappointing that it went out on a flop. You'd almost like to see, although, you know, all things end badly or else they wouldn't end, right?
Yeah,
Like if if they made had big success, then they just keep making them. So maybe this is for the best. Because yeah, we were talking about this a little bit offline before we came on before we hit record. And we were trying to think of if there are any other skits that we think would make really good movies. And honestly, a lot of the great skits, they are good skits. And it
hmm
is really hard to think of how you would extrapolate that into a story and a character that would make a good movie because most often it's based on one or two or three jokes. That's it. And beyond that, you get beyond the 5 or 6 minute mark. That's really hard to carry. And
yeah.
that's been obviously the downfall of a lot of the ones that flopped, like It's Pat, Stuart Saves His Family. There just wasn't much there beyond the main premise, the main joke. You really need something with a good story, good like heart to it, good characters, and that's kind of hard to come by from sketch comedy.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the closest I came to that was maybe some kind of Celebrity Jeopardy movie where like they would come on, but then there'd be like a lot of backstage wheeling and dealing, and but then you'd have to come up with an entirely new story, so it's not just based on the sketch, like
Yeah, and it would probably have to involve Will Ferrell as Alex Trebek, and then like although Alex Trebek, I'm sure would have fucking loved it, but you don't want to be too disrespectful to his memory. But it could be like Alex Trebek is like fighting against the studio to get them to stop putting these damn celebrities on his show or something like that. Maybe you could make something like that work. But again, no Norm Macdonald anymore either, and he was always a great part of those sketches. So yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah, then so many great sketches from like Lonely Island, Dick in the Box, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we could go on and on and on, but that's an entirely
Yeah,
different.
more cowbell, one of the greatest
Yeah,
sketches of all time. That
yeah,
can't really be a movie.
yeah. So that's why we're just sticking to the SNL movies, and for better or worse, they're out there. And so I think I think we've already stated our answers to
Yeah,
this question, but so your favorite of these 11?
it's clearly Blues Brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this movie, and it's the one that I've probably watched Blues Brothers like 10 times. I just love the movie and the music, obviously. As people probably know by now, especially those who have seen our Sinners episode and some others, I'm a big fan of blues. So,
Yeah, Martin even played some Delta Blues during that Ryan Coogler episode back in June, or I believe. And yeah, so Blues Brothers is definitely the best movie, but my favorite is Ladies Man.
okay, there we go.
And least favorite, I think we've already kind of given the game away on that one as well.
Yeah, although because I haven't seen It's Pat, I for this one I decided to choose something else, and I'm gonna go with Coneheads, even though
Okay.
been a long time since I saw this movie. But when it came out again, like it was from an old skit, and I just didn't get it. I was just like, what of this is funny? It just so for me, Coneheads was just a terrible movie. And generally, I love Dan Aykroyd, but yikes, that movie did not work for me.
Interesting, because I actually chose Coneheads as well.
Okay, okay, there we go.
All
Yeah,
right, so yeah, I thought we were just gonna both pick It's Pat, but like I said, when I saw it originally when I was a little kid, I laughed my ass off. So Coneheads,
right,
I
for It's
also
Pat. Okay, okay,
yeah,
fair enough. Yeah,
Coneheads, I also saw when I was pretty little, and I don't know if I was creeped out or just not amused, but
yeah.
either way. Anyway, so yeah, that's SNL movies. So next week, obviously, baseball playoffs are in full swing. Get
Duh, let the
it?
Yankees lose. Woo, my Blue Jays are still in it. Love it.
So are my Dodgers.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And so yeah, we're gonna do top 10 baseball movies, and there are a lot to choose from. So that's gonna be a hard list to whittle
That's for
down.
damn
But
sure.
but yeah, we'll be here for you. And after that, we're gonna get into some Halloween shit. It's October. Why the hell not?
And
So
yeah, there's this seems to be the time when there's a lot of horror movies out. Like we're just before all the Oscar bait, or mostly before the Oscar bait. The Conjuring is making a million, almost 500 million fucking dollars. So yeah, it's time. Even though neither of us are the biggest horror fans, it's a genre we can't ignore, and so we're gonna yeah go in maybe even do two parts on horror movies.
All right, so with that, I'm Zach Miller. He is Martin Cook, as always. And like, comment, subscribe, click those buttons down there, and we will see you next week on the Unsolicited Film Reviews podcast.
Bye, everyone.